The Eurovision Song Contest 2022 is Ukraine!
Ukraine's win in 2022 was significant. It was historic. They got that absolute stonking big televo, the biggest we've ever seen and probably the biggest we will ever see. And it was obviously on the back of a wave of support for Ukraine. Obviously there was people putting in their solidarity, sympathy votes, whatever you want to call it. Whether they would have won without all that was up for debate. I think it still would have done very well, nevertheless. It was a really, really good song. So, I'm not mad that it won. It's not something I'd want to see repeated, though, because that just kind of makes it lose its significance.
Well, I think we all saw it coming. I certainly saw it coming. I think I predicted Ukraine to win fairly comfortably in the end. And irrespective of the situation that was happening in Eastern Europe at the time, this song almost certainly would have challenged for the win anyway, if not won. And on the day of the contest, it just looked like it was going to be a very, very clear win. And that was arguably the most disappointing thing about last year's contest, because it should have been a lot more competitive at the end. As soon as Kalush Orchestra bagged 400 plus points, it was over really. We didn't need to know how many points I think it was Sweden and of course the UK received, because Ukraine's lead was so big at that point. It was all over. And I always feel that Eurovision should be competitive, it should be a fairly close result, but last year it wasn't. So although I don't have any problems with Kalush Orchestra and Stefania winning last year, it was more how one-sided and how clear-cut the victory was that made me feel a bit disappointed.
Was insane. It seemed from the reaction from the crowd, from Kalush themselves and from the reaction that I saw on social media, that night was extremely important to every single Ukrainian. That one win gave Ukraine something to be happy about, to be proud about.
I don't think Ukraine winning was a big surprise. I think some people outside the Eurovision community did tell me, of course they won, it's all political. But for me, I knew it'd be strong with the televote. I didn't know how strong it would be with the televote. And it was the televote that pushed it to win. And I think the fact that it was such an emotional song and a very uplifting song and a very cultural song, it kind of encouraged more people to give it some votes. And that's why they won.
I think one of the most exciting Eurovisions Martyn and I both watched was last year's, not just because of seeing the UK doing so well, but because of seeing the support everyone had for Ukraine and the excitement in the arena when we saw how well Ukraine was doing. It was such an exciting contest to watch. And seeing how people reacted to that and how voters reacted to the song and feeling towards Ukraine was just something pretty special. I don't think we'll see something like that in a Eurovision again.
Ukraine understandably wanted to host in 2023, but I did think that they were being a bit blinded by sentimentality. They were saying that the war would be over within a year and the country would be rebuilt, but the reality was that we didn't know. They didn't know. Nobody knew. The only people that thought that Ukraine could host in 2023 was, well, Ukraine.
Eurovision organisers are in talks with the BBC to potentially host the competition in the UK in 2023.
It's Eurovision tradition. The winning country hosts the competition the following year. But this year, of course, Ukraine won, and the show's organisers have decided that the war means that security can't be guaranteed. Today's announcement was met with dismay by the Ukrainian government, which had already sent a list of potential venues to the organisers. Downing Street has already promised that if the contest does take place here, it will reflect Ukrainian culture.
But the fact is, they won, and they deserve to have it. And I believe that they can have it, and I believe that they should have it. And I believe that Kiev or any other safe Ukrainian city would be a fantastic place to have it. And I very, very much hope that, is it the European Broadcasting Union? I hope the European Broadcasting Union will recognise it.
When I had saw that the UK and the BBC had been asked to host on behalf of Ukraine and the UAPBC, I was so ecstatic. Not only I'd be happy because it's getting held in my country, but I'd be so happy that we're doing it on behalf of Ukraine. And not only that, I knew that the UK and BBC would put on the best show possible for Ukraine. They would do the absolute best to make it the best show and make every single person proud of Ukraine and the UK.
And I was talking to a lot of people. I was at this Eurovision event in London, and I was talking to a lot of people afterwards, and we all had an idea. We think the UK might be hosting it, you know, because we came second, and the UK has hosted big events in the past. So, like for example, they hosted the Commonwealth Games very recently. We knew they were capable of it. We knew they'd want to do it because they're trying to push this positive, uplifting persona to associate it with Eurovision, because I feel like there has been a lot of xenophobia linked to it. You know, people saying, oh, everyone hates the UK, this, that, but now I think it's bringing people together in a very positive way.
And I was very excited at the time when it was finally announced that the UK was going to step in, with the caveat, hoping that Ukraine would still get to be part of it. And looking ahead now to the contest, it looks like they have moulded those two together very well.
I think it was a wise move by the EBU. You've got to do it for safety reasons. Back in last spring, we didn't know what the situation was going to be in Ukraine with regards to the war a year on. And now that we are pretty much a year on, it's still ongoing. And although you maybe could have staged the competition in Kyiv, you just couldn't run that risk of something bad happening during the rehearsals or any of the sort of red carpet events that they have as well. You just couldn't run that risk. So I think the EBU made absolutely the right decision.
To some breaking news now, actually. If you are Eurovision fans, you'll be very pleased to hear that the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest will be hosted in the UK next year on behalf of Ukraine.
In alphabetical order, the 7 cities shortlisted to host the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest are Birmingham, Glasgow, Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, and Sheffield.
Exciting times, it is official, the 67th Eurovision Song Contest will take place in either Glasgow or Liverpool.
Liverpool.
I think it's great. I think it's great, yeah. Yeah, it's city of music, why not?
Yeah, step, but I think that it has come to Liverpool. It's making everyone aware of what the city still has to offer.
The most musical places around, do you know what I mean? Anytime I go here, it's got a different vibe to any I do or the whole of the UK. And Liverpool is just something different, and I think they really do deserve to have something like Eurovision hosted here.
I have seen interviewed who is in association with Eurovision this year, they say this competition is going to be huge, it's amazing, they have really integrated the culture, and I know that is why Liverpool, I think, eventually actually won the bid, because of their promise to really integrate Ukrainian culture.
Actually, I was rooting for Glasgow, obviously being from Glasgow, but now in hindsight, I actually am glad that the BBC chose Liverpool instead. It just seems that Liverpool wanted it, and that was the main reason that they got it. Liverpool really wanted to host Eurovision, and now looking at everything that's happening in Liverpool, it proves that they really did choose the perfect site to host Eurovision, and they do know how to throw a party. It's going to be so good.
Let's be honest, did we really think that it was going to be Liverpool? We were booking hotels in Glasgow literally for like the 3 weeks that we thought it was possible that the Eurovision Song Contest could be on in May. And then at the very last minute we thought, no, we should probably book something in Liverpool just in case, and it was Liverpool. I was quite surprised at the time,
yes,
but now when I have an understanding of what the city had done to say, put it on here, look at what we're going to throw at it, Liverpool seems the obvious choice.
Right. And I think they've said this before, but they are setting a precedent so that other countries don't feel afraid to step in if a country can't host it. They want to show that this is the possibilities. The possibilities are endless. This is how big it can be. This is how positive this sort of competition can be for your country and for the city. And I can only think of positive things. I can't think of anything going wrong. You know, the BBC have their name attached to this, so they're not going to mess it up. And it's all going to be very slick, professional, and we're going to show it how it's done.
We've been saying, well, what are the people behind it going to do to make Ukraine a massive part of this? And it certainly seems from what we can see, that they really have bent over backwards to make sure that Ukraine is a massive part. Because Sam Ryder, I remember the UK entry to Eurovision last year, 2022, after the Ukraine win and it was announced that the UK was going to be hosting in Liverpool, said, well, it's Ukraine's party, their party, it's just at our place. And I really think they've taken that spirit and they've just run with it. And that's what we hopefully are going to be getting, that feeling, being at Ukraine's party, just happens to be in Liverpool when the contest happens in May.
Good. My overall feeling about this is that I just hope that the UK does Ukraine proud and that the BBC and the UAPBC are proud of what they've accomplished after May 13th. I really hope that the contest is the best we've seen in years, hopefully the best we've ever actually seen. Got some great songs, got some great artists, an amazing stage, and amazing hosts, amazing production team. What more could you ask for? So let's bring on Liverpool.